So finally, a video on Ferrari, but where do you start? There is so much on Ferrari. It's probably the most well-documented team ever. So what I've done is I've looked at the collection, and probably the biggest collection I've got is from the 1961 season. Not just Formula One, but also the Championship of Makes and the endurance races. So I've got a couple of samples of those as well. So many different scales here, as you can see, as well as the transporter used during that year in 1/18th scale. Goes along with the two larger cars further back. I'll start going through what I have here. I'll probably have to take a break to keep organized as to what's what here. But let me start at the front, smallest to largest. Here is a Matchbox car. Quite simple, but very small in scale. It's a 1/64th scale, so quite small. So it's not quite HO scale, but in trains, if any train fans out there, it's closer to an S scale. So I'm not familiar with that too much, but this was gifted to me. It is missing the driver, but very cool all the same. They got the basic shape quite nicely done. On that same scale, and I haven't got it fit in here. Hot Wheels, here we go. There is that car in that, again, small 1/64 scale. Looks pretty cool, a little more detail. Just not crazy about those wheels. Very large wheels and tiny tires. Anyway, not quite, proportionate and accurate to the real thing. But there you go. Next on our list is the 1/43rd scale. And I have two of them here by Broom, the Italian die-cast maker. So we'll take a look at the one here. Quite a bit nicer, a lot more detail. We got glass, we've got some chrome pieces. And again, the chrome's usually not that accurate. Not too many Grand Prix cars at any period had lots of chrome on them. But still, all quite nice all the same. So this one here is representing the Monaco Grand Prix on Phil Hill. And it is quite accurate. It looks quite nice. He qualified fifth with this car and ended up third. But this is the big Monaco race that Sterling Moss upset everybody with a very inferior car, but through his amazing skill, he actually won the race. The other one here, again, quite nicely done. Really nice wheels and tires on here. Some nice detail. This one is representing the race at the Dutch Grand Prix with Wolfgang von Trips running this one. Actually won the race. Inaccuracy on here, that windscreen is completely wrong. It should go all the way back to the roll bar, like most of the other examples that I have here. So little things that, bit surprising sometimes when you get specialty model makers getting things wrong like that. Anyways, here we go. Then we move on to slot cars, and I've got a number of them here. Probably the the one that needs the most work and needs some restoration here is an old MRC, or no, this is Airfix. I get the two mixed up because I think one bought out the other at some point. But this one does have a full cockpit because the motor is in the back where it's supposed to be. But there's quite a gap between the chair and the motor, the seat, so that could be pushed back. Don't have the windscreen on this, so I'm not sure if that's something that can be found or made. But typical of these ones, working steering. So if we take a look, there we go. And it's that fixed brushes and then the pivoting guide. So very cool. Little work project. Here's what I thought was the same car, but updated. This has all the components. It's got the glass, it's got the driver, so it's a kind of a pan half driver because the motor is up higher or further. And again, this one isn't a clamshell like the previous one. This is plug-in components. It also has working steering. more traditional guide where the brushes move with that pivoting. The brushes go with the guide. And yeah, a more powerful motor. See, I'm not getting this to focus for whatever reason. Is this not going to focus for me? Getting temperamental here. There we go. It likes the top, not the bottom. But quite nicely done, and actually a better runner than the other one. And these two don't have magnets. They're in very thin tires, all replaced with urethane on the back of them. And then we have Scalextric. And here's that original Scalextric, early 60s Scalextric model of that car. There we go, gotten some focus. I did the numbers with Letraset. If anybody remembers Letraset way back when. I think I still have a few sheets, but it's come in handy for something like this. But quite nicely done. Again, it's clamshell. Everything is covered up inside there. It has that pin guide all fixed with the brushes fixed. Yeah, sometimes I find it a little difficult. It doesn't give you the best performance. The exhausts on here, these are repros that you can get. Again, chrome. I gotta strip that chrome off and paint them up the black or dark gray that would be accurate with the model. So that's always a dilemma I find when collecting these. I want to keep them true to how they're produced, but at the same time, I like to make them a little more accurate. So always a difficult decision to how far do you take a restoration or beyond a restoration. Okay, so that exact same car, they brought that one out in yellow. So here we have that. This is representing the Belgian Grand Prix and private entry of Belgian origin. This is the racing colors of Belgium is yellow. So this car was done up into those colors. Can't remember the driver, but maybe I can post that up later. It has a broken exhaust. I didn't get the repros at the same time. I should have gotten those, but I'll have to track down some and get this one complete. But still in pretty good condition. And then last but not least in the, let me see, that's not there. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's right up front. I can't see the forest for the trees, but here we go. Here is a more recent, and even this is still going back a little bit. Scalextric, fantastic. They've really upped their game a few years back. Full cockpit, beautiful colors, that wood steering wheel, the proper colors on the driver. This is Phil Hill in his championship-winning Ferrari, and just beautifully done. See, look at that. Those exhausts are accurately colored, and it's got a nice rotating guide. Super hot motor on these. These are those slim can motors, way too fast and powerful, especially with these very thin tires. So I definitely dial back the voltage, but we'll track test all of these and see how they compare. Now, I want to take a look at the sports car, and I have one die cast and one slot car. The die cast is 1/18 scale, but it is a resin and nothing opens on it. One of the few exceptions. I mean, I mentioned in my other videos, I like metal die cast with opening parts. But this one, oh, such a beautiful car. And again, it was a very good deal. So couldn't pass up a good deal, but just a beautiful, beautiful car. Interesting, in 1961, both types of cars had that shark nose front. So very distinctive for that year. Can't mistake it. And look at that back end. Just fantastic. And then underneath. So the make of this, so look smart. Yeah, I'm not familiar with a whole lot of other ones that they've done, but really quite enjoyed this one. Nice coloring on the exhaust pipes. The wheels, the wire wheels and such, beautifully, beautifully done. Something to really keep an eye out to how accurate those are. This particular car ran in Le Mans. They ran 3 or more of these cars. This particular one was run by the Rodriguez brothers, and they were doing quite well, but the car broke down mid-race, so was a non-finisher. Now, if you're familiar with high-end slot cars, Le Mans Miniature, and this is a beauty here. Again, this one also is a resin car, but beautifully, beautiful done. The detail on these are spectacular. Look at that again, full cockpit, beautifully done. Little work kit in that side seat there. Again, the accuracy, the colors, the proportions, everything are spectacular on these. And they're not known for good performance. And here's underneath, really, really nice. But with a fair bit of work and adjustment and such, managed to get this to be a fairly decent runner. So it can be done, but being resin, I don't want to race this too seriously because I don't want to risk having a big collision and damaging that resin body. But wow, everything on here is exquisite. Look at all the metal etch parts and then the wire wheels. Incredible. Nice. And the driver, a really nice driver, done up exceptionally well, which is always an issue with a lot of the slot cars. Even the cars sometimes look really good, but the driver, it falls apart with the driver. But everything is spectacular. And along with Le Mans Miniature, they make some excellent figures to go along with the cars and your track setup. And this one's no exception. Here is a photographer character. Again, a nice, accurate 1/32 and perfect. Wow. So when I put him on the track, I put him somewhere special because it's so much superior to the other makes of figures to have around your track. Next is a metal die cast that is a prize of my collection, is this shark nose 156 Ferrari. Beautifully, beautifully done. Just amazing. Has lots of opening parts, beautiful detail here. Let's take a look if I can get this back end open. And what is spectacular here is the engine detail, all plumbed, wired. It is missing nothing. Just incredible. And on top of that, if I close this up, I can pull. Let's see if I can get it off here. More difficult than I thought, but there we go. Taking that front hood section off, and look at that detail on the front. Just amazing. There's nothing missing. Anything that was on the real car was there. Look at all the wiring behind the dashboard. Absolutely fantastic. And the danger of these cars, yes, look what we have here. We have a fuel tank right over the driver's legs, and you can see gas fittings here or openings. So you're sitting in a tub of gas. Both side pods are full of gasoline. That yes, in an accident you don't have much of a chance. But yeah, very nice cast metal of the front section here that comes off quite nicely. Look at that. Even our the little fuel openings here open up. Very nice. Got all sorts of opening for extra cooling, which they had at Monza. So this is very specific to a particular race. So excellently done. Just gorgeous. So let me see even inside here. I think all of these, look at that, the oil container here, that lifts open. I'm not sure if this one does too. I want to be careful not to, I think it does, but I don't want to force it or cause too much trouble with it. But spectacular. This is really what, to me, collecting die casts are all about. Getting that metal and getting all this working. Fantastic. Last but not least, we have the transporter. I'm going to move all of these aside so we can get a better look at that. It also is die cast metal. Again, it's not the highest end one. Super detailed one. Again, I think it was Exoto again, but I can't remember which make this one is. Maybe it'll say underneath, but it's virtually the same mold. The difference is it doesn't have all the engine and working parts underneath, but it's still beautiful. But lots of opening parts. So you do have the opening. This thing is so huge and heavy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick this up. But the cab inside, yeah, this is going to be difficult, is super nice. Yeah, nothing's focusing here. There we go. Excellent. And on top of that, we have, let's see if I can get this open. There we go. Work section where storage. I got some tools in there that are kind of falling around, but excellent. So the whole idea of this, and it's perfectly 1/18 scale, so when I want to store, and this is usually how I display these, fits up top, and the Le Mans car fits right in there too. So here we go, we've got the whole 1961 package of die-cast collectibles. This truck die-cast is made by CMR. It is all metal, and boy, does it feel like it. It weighs a ton because of the 18 scale. It's really quite large. Beautifully detailed here. You may be familiar or recognize this truck from the movie Grand Prix. At point when they're at Monza and one Ferrari driver is waiting for his car, and it pulls up in this exact same truck. So you can check that out. Beautiful interior detail and opening work area and storage. I have these aftermarket 1/18 scale tools that I keep in there, but super nice in the way the cars fit into there perfectly. And there is room for one more. I'll see what other Ferrari I can get down the road to fill that truck. And here we go, that back tailgate lifts up as well. Track test time. Let's start with the sports car since I only have the one. Here it is, the TR61. The TR standing for Testarossa because of the red engine covers on this. But look at the injection stacks on there. Just incredible. All 12. What an amazing engine. Again, what I like about these sort of cars, or when I see one like this, the actual motor is up front like the real thing, allowing for a nice full cockpit in there and beautifully detailed as mentioned before. But with this, again, not a super fast runner, but actually goes okay. 14 volt to really get the best out of this. I haven't replaced the urethanes on this. I'm keeping the original tires. Next, we'll take a look at these two, the Aerofix and the MRC. And I put these together because doing a little research, I found out that kind of made by the same company. Aerofix bought out MRC and then brought them into their line. So that was in 61, and this Ferrari came out just shortly after. And quite a different philosophy from the Aerofix. Really noted for their model kits and such. But again, full cockpit, motors on the back where it should be. I adjusted that driver from earlier to get him sitting back in the seat, but still a lot more renos to do on this to get that working. And then the MRC, which the mold looks near identical, except they've got a tray driver in here because the motor's a little more up front or mid in the chassis, and it's plugged in. It doesn't have an underpan like this one, but the rest of the body mold looks very, very similar. which made me suspicious and kind of start asking, how does this work? And they both have the same working steering, so that's similar to both of them. So anyways, let's give the one a go. I have other Airfix. This one is particularly slow. The others are not as sluggish. Okay, so let's switch it up and we'll get the MRC and give that a run. Let me just get the brushes adjusted here. More powerful of a motor, it really goes a lot better, but still 14 volts is good. This does have urethanes and performs quite well. Next we have the older Scalextric. Quite nicely done clamshell motor in the back. It's a tray, but you can see inside. We can just see the motor inside, or the big magnet part of the base of the motor in there. Very, very nice. Again, I'm going to leave this up 14 volt and give it a run. Now, this does have an odd noise to it. It's the motor or the gearing, but still runs well. Drive this in, and then we'll switch up and we'll try the other. Exact same car, only a different color on the mold. And this is representing a car, and I've kind of put the decal on there to represent the Belgium race that this raced in. But yeah, talk about inconsistencies. This one here you'll find runs a lot smoother and maybe a little better in performance too. Much quieter, it seems to run smoother. It has urethanes, like the previous one. So there we go. Next, the more modern Scalextric of this same car. And this is spectacular. As mentioned before, the detail and such on this is exquisite. And proportions, really accurate. I compare this against my diecast, and wow, it is right on the money. Now, this is significantly faster. It's got a huge magnet in here. All the previous cars we just ran have no magnet, but this one does, and thank goodness. Even though I'm turning this down to 12 volt, maybe even turn it down less than that from the 14, but yeah, very quiet, very smooth, and fast. Super nice, runs well with the Cooper and the Lotus 25. Works really nice and goes along with the Scalextric release at the time. The Cooper here goes very, very nice with it. And actually the Lotus 25 goes quite well with it too. There we go. So there we go. That's our track test wrapped up. Now for books. The inspiration for this video is this recent purchase of a book that I got a great deal online, but it focuses on the two main cars that I'm looking at, and really looking at 1961. And this is an incredible book, super thick, really nice, from Ferrari 1960 to 65. And that's the sports cars and the Formula One cars, the whole works. So I'll go briefly through this, and I got a bunch of other books, but just amazing on that shark-nosed Ferrari and that similarly looking TR61 sports car. So move this over. There we go. Some incredible shots, but it really goes through race by race for both cars. So it is very thorough. It goes into the drivers, particularly with Phil Hill and Wolfgang von Trips. Also the Rodriguez brothers, who raced the sports car. And one of the brothers raced Formula One. But just spectacular, really nicely done, laid out, researched, tons of stuff here. So anyway, we'll go on to our next one. Now, previous to having this book, I had purchased a specific copy on the shark nose. And what was very cool about this one is, if I can find it here, there we go. It's got a personal inscription by the author to Jack Brabham. So this was a copy gifted to him from the author. So I thought that was very neat. Now, the setback is that I've marked these 2 pages. These pages were duplicated, and the pages that should have been here, I don't have. So kind of a neat addition for the signature and note in it, but kind of a downer that I'm missing some of the info. But regardless, it's an amazing book on very specifically 1961, all about the shark nose. And again, incredible photos, both black and white and color, and super in-depth of all the info on that car. It's a smaller book, but man, it is jam-packed with beautiful quality of the pages, the print that it's printed on, and just amazing info and photos. Very cool. Now, of course, the history, which I'm right into, I do have the 1961 autocourse. Interesting bit on this, and I don't know if I'll find it, I didn't bookmark it, is I took this edition with me to the Lime Rock Park Racing Vintage Weekend, and I had Sterling Moss sign the book, so got to meet him and chat with him, which was fantastic. Now, particularly now that he's passed, so yeah, an exceptional experience, so that was very cool. Autocourse, and this is the first hardcover. They did run autocourse through the 50s when the championship started, but they're always softbound, monthly or even quarterly, I can't remember. But this is the first real hardbound. What's really neat is look at the lap charts, and they got foldouts on the lap charts. So depending on the length of the race, look at this one, folds out. So if you got your favorite driver, you can check the lap time, lap by lap, throughout the race. So pretty remarkable. Also, as usual, I always have the automobile year of the same, and not featuring the Formula One, but the sports car on the cover. So that's quite cool. Again, autocourse, amazing photography. Oh, look at this. So they've got, again, they cover all the races, and they've got great black and white and color photography throughout. Look at this. There's Wolfgang von Trips, who didn't make it to the end of the season. I had a tragic accident with Jim Clark at the Monza Grand Prix. Another annual I haven't discussed before, but here is the Louis Stanley, who is was the owner operator of BRM in the 60s, and he put out this series of Grand Prix books from 59 to 69. So here's one featuring that shark nose, and the photography is never the greatest, but they're all his personal shots that he took on the weekends. But he really gives an in-depth behind the scenes from a team owner point of view. So the article, and he didn't pull any punches. If something wasn't right in the organizing or even his own team, he was the first to criticize and critique. So a very cool series. The next one I have, being Ferrari, I've got the Ferrari book, and this was written by Enzo Ferrari about everybody from the whole time of his career, and his discussion of the drivers, beautiful photography and such here. I'm going to try and dig around and find, well, there's the shark nose. There is a chapter here on, well, again, it goes through all the drivers. Richie Ginther, a buddy of Phil Hill from California, got him into the team, and they worked as a pair here. And they drove the sports car as well. Here's Phil Hill. Beautiful painting by Michael Turner. Excellent, excellent. I've got a whole book on just the Turner paintings on motorsport. But in this article of Phil Hill, Ferrari wasn't a big fan of him. So I don't know what the issue was. I'd have to reread that to see what made it that Ferrari wasn't a big fan. Now, the very cool thing about this book, this is exceptionally special, and how I came across this. This edition is personally signed by Enzo Ferrari. 1984, just a couple of years before his passing, or maybe a bit more than that. But there's that famous purple ink that he used his signature on. I got this book from a collection, and I know it's authentic because who owned this book previously was the FIA Federation representative of Canada. So I got a number of his books, and this one here is absolute the treasure of my collection for sure. Now, when we go to drivers, a little harder. I do have the Phil Hill autobiography that he came out with after his championship. Same typical format where you get a few black and whites in the center, maybe in a few spots, and then all text. But a great book from his perspective of that championship. And the other member, and the last book that I have here to show, was the Rodriguez brothers I was talking about. Here is a massive volume on the two of them. And there's that shark-nosed Ferrari. This book is huge and commands on a massive price nowadays. But I did imagine, like everything, I got a good deal on everything that I own. I'm never proud of paying the full price. I need to find a bargain. And this is just incredible. The size of this volume is basically a diary of the two brothers. Almost every page takes a day out of their life and goes over where they race, the cars, everything about it. It's just spectacular. Just massive and wonderful. But to give you an idea, that first book that I showed you, and I'm always worried about value or expense because I always operate on a budget. I don't have limited funds for all this. I really spend a lot of time researching and finding, what do I really, there's so much out there. I want to make sure I find what I'm really interested in, and then researching to find the best price. This one, this is this fantastic publisher called Ivro. They have incredible, I've got a number of their books, but again, I've never paid full price. And the price of these books have gotten really crazy. Look at the size of this volume. It is huge. It's got well over 350 pages. The price right now, if you go on their site, is $125, and there's no way I'm paying that much. But searching around, I actually found on Amazon. And again, I'm in Canada, and it was Canadian Amazon. Had this for $65, so I pulled the trigger on that. And again, even though I'm trying to slow down my collection and just review and do these videos, when an opportunity comes up, I can't resist. Next, we have vintage races. I have a slideshow and some video clips. Here is at the Nürburgring this last summer, 2023. I got the hat even, as well as the program, although it's all in German, but featured. It had the shark-nosed Ferrari. Mind you, it's a reproduction for the most part, although it does have original engine and mechanical components, but the bodywork's all reworked because no original shark noses have survived. They had them all destroyed after the '62 season and used it for parts. But the sports car, it is not the TR61. It has the exact same bodywork, but it's the 246 SP, and it is a rear engine version of that car. So a little different from the die-cast in the slot car I showed you, but the overall bodywork is so similar and the same dimensions. It was really kind of hard to tell that it wasn't that car.